Hi, my name is Judith Sommer of Simmer Properties. This is a recording of the interview I gave Sky's Property Panorama at the beginning of 2016 about how to buy property. I hope you enjoy watching. If you want more information, I've written a book which can be bought from Amazon Kindle. I can be contacted via my website at www.simmerproperties.co.uk.
Are you looking to buy in the so-called big smoke? If so, then it could be a fierce competition with property prices skyrocketing on an almost daily basis. And of course, lots of people all competing for that perfect property. Well, if that is you, then I'm joined today by Dr. Judith Sommer, who is a UK property expert, particularly in the St John's Wood area, where she's got over 10 years experience. She also writes a blog. She's a property developer and also a property finder. It's a great pleasure to have her here on today's show. Welcome, Judith. Thank you very much for joining us. That's quite an impressive CV.
Thank you again. It stops me getting bored.
I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. Now, the first question I should ask you is, how do you find and buy that perfect house?
Okay, if you want to find a house, first thing you need to do is decide what you want. Make a list. Take a pen and paper, because pen and paper still exists in this world. Take a pen and paper and make a list of things that are important to you. Location is going to be important. If you've got a 15-minute extra walk to the station every day, back and forth, it will make a difference to you. Think about it.
When you actually get to the point of actually starting to communicate, with the agents and with the seller of the property, what kind of questions should you be asking?
If you want to buy somewhere, there are two main questions you need to ask the seller or the agent. First, why is the seller selling? Now, you might have to read between the lines to get the answer. But if they don't like the property they're in, you might not like it. If it's too small for them, it might be too small for you. So find out why they're selling and then find out if they're motivated. Motivated will affect the price. Motivated is, have they got somewhere to go to? Are they just sitting there and seeing what happens, or do they really want to sell?
What other tips could you offer when viewing?
When you go into a house, if you're with an estate agent, the estate agent has normally turned on all the lights. Turn them off. See what it looks like in real daylight. See if it's too dark and pokey and cold for you, or whether actually the daylight's quite nice. See if your mobile phone works in that house.
Well, it's funny you mentioned particularly about the mobile phone coverage, because my current house, that's one of my biggest bugbears. I didn't check that, and I have absolutely zero mobile phone coverage, which is a real pain. Looking back, I suppose. Good tips, thank you. Now, how about timelines? Because when someone's buying a property, looking for a property, between starting to look, between contacting the seller, between eventual completion, what timeline should we be looking at or imagining that it's going to take?
Sure. Okay, well, the two sections of that. One would be looking for the property, and one will be what happens once you've made an offer. So looking for the property, if you're lucky, you look on the first bit of online research that you do and you find the perfect property, you're laughing. But it can take you 6 months, it can take you a year. Bear in mind when you're looking that most properties come to the market in springtime or September-ish time. So there'll be more around then. And you can speed up your process if you are very focused and if you line things up. Like if you need a mortgage, get a mortgage in principle. Appoint your solicitor, get everything lined up so when it's time to go, you can go. And then the second part was what happens, how long does it take between an offer being accepted and the moment you get the keys in your hand. That varies, but can take 6 to 10 weeks.
It's interesting you said about the fact that spring there tends to be more properties, in a sense, on the market. Is there a better time? Because I know, for instance, buying a car, they always recommend you buy a car in winter because it's going to be cheaper. Is that the same with the property market? Are there times of the year where it's going to be more expensive, where it's going to be better for you to buy?
Yes, it is normally more expensive during those perceived prime times. Right. If you want to get a deal, look in the middle of winter, see what's available, and try by then.
So it is the same in a sense for,
Yep,
for housing as it is with cars.
Absolutely.
That's really interesting. I hadn't thought about that before. Okay, and the other thing that was really, kind of bugging me, we hear a lot about people being gazumped. What kind of advice could you give buyers to avoid that scenario happening?
A buyer has little control about being gazumped, but if it is a buyer who's serious, a buyer who's put money into the process, it's more likely that the seller won't go with the gazumpee, the other person.
No, that's good advice. It's kind of emotionally involve them almost,
Yes.
so that they can't, kind of allow that to happen. That's really, really good. Okay, time for just one more bit of advice, generally to people when they're looking to buy. What would your number one piece of advice be?
Decide what you want and go for it. And remember, there are other properties out there, and you need to get a deal that's good for you. It doesn't have to be the best deal in the universe. A deal that's good for you will be good for you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Judith.
Welcome.
Really, really great to have you in the studio giving us answers to some questions I'm sure that we've all had for quite a while. So that was Dr. Judith Summer there with some wonderful tips on how to buy houses, particularly in the St John's Wood area where her experience is, but around London. So take that on board and good luck.
If you found that information useful and you'd like to know more about buying a property, you may wish to buy my book from Amazon Kindle. You might also want to see my video about selling property, and of course I've written a book about that too, which can also be found on Amazon Kindle. The links to my videos and Amazon pages can be found at www.simmerproperties.co.uk/booksandvideos.php. Thank you for listening.